All right, welcome back, my friends. Welcome to Real Estate Bites. Come at you every Friday at noon, bringing you some good information, some insight into the market. A little housekeeping. My 17-year-old daughter, my oldest, Ananda, uh, she told me she gave me a little bit of insight. That's caused me to change the format of the show here a little bit. She basically just told me that, once I get to the statistics, she's tuning out because it's really boring. And, I can understand that a lot of people don't care to hear the monotonous run through of the numbers. People prefer to hear stories or news. That numbers can be boring. So I am going to save the statistics until the end of the show. And at that time, we'll cover that stuff. So that said, from here on out, we will jump directly in to the meat and potatoes of the show and the topic of the day, which today is, what is it that agents actually do? I hear this question on occasion. I'm fully aware that the consuming public really doesn't know what goes on behind the scenes in the life of a real estate agent. What you see us do is a small part of what we actually do. And I think, the more challenging parts of the job are so completely taken for granted that it's not even necessarily perceived as job unless you have gone through the process of buying and selling a home with a good agent recently. And so, a lot of people think that the agent, we just simply show up, let you in the house, walk you around it, write an offer, we're good to go. It's not just that. It's not just market analysis and, planning. It's not just learning all of the laws and all of the market data that we need to do to be able to inform and educate our customers. It's not the hours and hours of strategy and planning about how to create something out of nothing every day, because that's really what we have to do. We have to pursue the marketplace, generate leads, and follow and close on them. And that is a nonstop endeavor. But the real work, the real challenging work that we do is you. And that's just the reality of it. It is the people whom we work with. It is, and it's not just the customer. It is also the lender, the title people, the inspectors, the other agents. But mostly it's you. And this isn't a complaint. Please don't read this wrong. This is simply the fact of it. And the good agents understand that consultative sales really becomes applied psychology, and you stick with it because you love people and you love working with people and you love this applied psychology. You love the constant observation and study of human behavior and trying to figure out what makes people go so that you can reach people where they're at instead of trying to pull them all the way to your side. See, what we do in applied psychology is through studying and knowing people, we learn about individuals and where they are, where they're coming from, what makes them tick. And then we present information in a way that is intended to steer them towards their best interests. And that might not sound challenging, but listen, guys, when I say the biggest challenge is you, I'm talking about when we first sit down with a client and we're asking them about their goals. That is the most unfiltered and honest response we're ever going to get through the whole process, because we haven't started going through it. The stress hasn't begun yet. We haven't started getting the customer hasn't started getting jaded or their perspective colored by family and friends telling them this, telling them that, by what they see on the news, by the stress of a challenging low inventory market, things like this, right? It's the challenge in the job is to keep people from getting desperate and to not stray from their goals, to not make decisions that are adverse to their own best interests. And you might not believe that people will do such a thing, but I'm here to tell you, folks, that people do such things every single day, every single deal, almost every single client. Once you get into the process, let's say it's on the buyer side, you get into the process in this intense, low inventory sellers market. You're not finding what you want right away. And in this impatient society we have, people, they start to get desperate real soon. They start to look at options that they didn't really want to consider, that don't even fit the criteria of their family or their budget or what it might be. And they begin to stray. And, that could end up being a lot of wasted time for everybody involved. So it's our job to step back from the emotion of it and to remind you guys what it is we're here to do and what your goals were in the first place, and why we should stick to that, and why exercising patience helps when you're dealing with sellers. And you're trying to sell their home that they and their family have lived in for years, if not decades, and they have all these emotional attachments to it. And they hear a little bit of feedback, or they're asked for closing costs or some common sort of practice that they just don't like and makes them mad. And now you want to run this buyer away when it's maybe the best offer, if not the only offer that you got on the table, right? The goal is to sell the house. And then the other tricky part is, we don't get to deal with the principal on the other side, right? We deal with an agent on the other side. So if I'm representing a seller, I don't get to talk directly to the buyer. Not typically. I mean, on occasion it has happened, say a dual agency situation, but by and large, I'm not talking to the buyer. I'm talking to that buyer's agent. So then it's on me to communicate to that agent clearly enough and effectively enough, in the hopes that they can then effectively and clearly translate the position that I just presented to them to their buyer, so that it's clear understanding amongst all parties. And that's easier said than done. So the real challenge, the real work that we do, is applied psychology. It is talking you guys back off the ledge, letting you know that everything's going to be okay, that you're not going to be homeless, that it's not going to fall apart, that the sky's not falling. It's standing in front of the office and hugging a client who's crying because something completely unrelated to the real estate deal has happened in their life, and it's causing them undue stress, and they're freaking out. Maybe it's not in front of the office. Maybe it is in one of the 3-4 calls a day that you're getting from this client, just expressing all of the frustrations and the stresses going on in their life and why it's hard for them to handle anything that's going on right now. This is what agents deal with, and this is what agents deal with every single day of the week, every single day of the year. And that's just the reality of it. That is what agents do. Not only is there the tangible market activities that we participate in, that we present to you, that are easy to touch, feel, see, and understand, but there's the countless hours on the phone or standing in the same room with our clients, helping them deal with the stresses of the real estate transaction, and very oftentimes the stresses of their regular life, whether it's home life, work life, whatever it might be, that's got nothing to do with the real estate transaction. But we're there, we're a neutral party, and people like to unload and let us know what's going on, and that's okay. Like I said earlier, the good agents understand that this position is applied psychology, and that's really what we do. We are, in addition to assisting people buy and sell homes, and all that entails with making sure everything's contractually compliant, making sure we've got resources for our clients so that we can help this transaction go as smoothly as possible. We are every single day a psychologist to our clients. And when you have one client, and I always try to tell myself that I want all my clients to feel like they're my only client, like they've got my attention. They're front and center for me. And And oftentimes I know if that's effective in the way that they communicate with me and talk to me, because they'll act like they're the only thing I got going on in my life. But when you have one client who you're helping through a transaction and playing armchair psychologist for, that's one thing. When you have 5, 6, 7, 13 contracts in place and you're having these conversations every single day, literally all day long from 9 a.m. to 9 p. That's what agents do. There's a book that's basically the Bible for salespeople. And it was written in the 20s by a fellow named Dale Carnegie. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And if you're in sales and you haven't read that, you need to read that. It is all about how to approach the world in such a manner that basically builds advocacy for you as an individual and your business, in a nutshell. But the entire book is about how to affect and influence the psychology of those around you, and that's what we do. That is our job, to help ascertain what are the real goals that you guys have for your families, and then keep the whole process pointed exactly in that direction. How do we win towards your best interest? How do we win towards the goals that you've set for yourself and help you advance into that next chapter of your life? That's our job. And oftentimes it takes real practice and applied psychology to keep that on track, because customers get desperate, they get stressed, and they start to make decisions based on emotion and not rationality. And that's when things can go sideways. So that's it. That is pulling the curtain back on real estate sales about as wide open as I can get, guys. This whole gig is about influencing our people to do what's best for them. Really, it's about influencing people to stay on track, to stay calm, and to keep their goals in mind. And it's not easy. And that's why the vast majority of business in real estate sales, it follows Pareto's law. 80% of real estate sales are done by 20% of the agents, and that's never, ever going to change. 80% of real estate production nationwide, Ohio-wide, right here in Lorain County, 80% of production is done by just 20% of the agents. And that's never, ever going to change. And that's because that 20% of the agents understand what this is about. This is not about the house. This is not about the land. This is about people, our people, and a dedicated pursuit to serving and protecting and being a resource to our people. Awesome. So that said, let's move on to the real estate meme of the week. Much on the same theme here. One of my friends asked me what it's like to be a real estate agent. So I texted her every 20 seconds until she started crying. Guys, that's no joke. I mean, it's a joke, but that's no joke. My phone buzzes all day long, every single day. Yeah, there's only one day a week one day a year that I take off completely, and that's Christmas. And I just spend it entirely with my family. But I work some measure of every single day. Some days it's only 2 hours, 3 hours. Some days it's 16, 17 hours. There's balance. Don't worry about me. I'm not complaining. I love my life. I love the blessings that you folks have brought to me, to my team. Love my team. So, but that's what agents do. We're always on. We always have to be on. All right. Now that fun stuff has been covered, let's get into the statistics. For all you my fellow nerds who've been waiting for the numbers, let's take a look here, guys. All right. Here we are, episode 38. This morning, there were 314 single-family homes and condos on the market. There were 69 sales closed in this past week. The median, so I mean, again, low inventory. We've crept up a little bit. 2 weeks ago, we were at 290. Now we've crept back up to 314. You can see that demand is just, it stayed flat. We're averaging probably low 60s every single week. This past week it was 69. Median square foot was 1,536 square feet. The median home value for sales last week was 180,000. The median square foot cost was $147.50. Average days on market was 46. And this morning, when I checked on mortgage rates, we clocked in at a 7.43% for a 30-year conventional note. Guys, that's the highest interest rate we've had since November. Okay. So highest that we've seen in 5 months. At the beginning of the year, I talked to some friends, some experts, listened to experts and pundits. We expected some easing in interest rates by this time. I know we were talking about being in, mid sixes pretty consistently by the middle of the year, low sixes, maybe mid fives by the end of the year. But that trend is going the wrong direction. And then the big sale of last week, $779,000 in Avon, Ohio. Here we are. Let's take a look at this. This is the property here on Bellcrest in the Highland Park neighborhood in Avon. This big brick beauty, 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 3,000 square foot on a 0.34 acre lot. Let's take a look at it. This home is pretty gorgeous. Nice big beautiful brick paver patio. You've got the little gazebo there with the outdoor fireplace. I mean, that's fantastic luxury living right there. Huge spaces, huge ceilings. This is a grand home. Beautiful photography too. I've been messing around with it, and the ability to pull in the exterior through the outside was a trick I just recently learned, and clearly someone paid a pro to come and do this work because these photos are absolutely beautiful. Standing in one corner of this room, the lighting not nearly as good as you might think, but to be able to pull in that exterior through the windows, I'm geeking out a little bit here, guys. Sorry. Love that master bath right there. Just beautiful, beautiful home. Every finish, every room. It's just top end, high end, on trend, beautiful, big giant basement with a nice full bar. I mean, look at the size of this bar. That's fantastic. And that was it. All right. Guys, thank you again for joining me here on Real Estate Bites. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of one another. I love you, people. We'll see you next week.